Hi and welcome students. Today we have a video request from Kim. Kim says, can you make more MOS exam reviews? Your 12-minute one was really helpful for my students. Well, Kim, thank you for the comment. I do appreciate that. Today I'm going to do an MOS review on Microsoft PowerPoint. This tutorial is basically meant to cover everything that you're going to see in your Microsoft Office Specialist exam, only it's condensed down to about 10 to 15 minutes. So this is meant to accompany my playlist on Microsoft PowerPoint 2016, which covers other fundamentals that you will see on the MOS exam. So I'm going to go ahead and get started now. I took this test about a month ago, and I'm going to show you some of the different things that I saw on this test. I will demonstrate how to do a lot of these things, but some of them I will just go over and just tell you what you will see on the test. So what you see here is a Microsoft PowerPoint file, and I'm going to show you a couple of the different things that you're going to need to know to pass your Microsoft Office Specialist exam for PowerPoint 2016. Alright, so first thing you see here is I have basically a list of different slides. When you open up any of your projects in the MOS exam, you will see that it will show a list of slides on the left side. This is your slide view right over here. And so let's go ahead and take a look at some of the different things that you'll see. Now, over here in the Home tab, I'm going to start here. You will need to know how to cut and paste as well as copy and paste. So again, the difference between the two, if I say wanted to copy this Avid Vintage area right here and I wanted to copy it, that is going to be Control C. I would find another place to put it by doing Control V as in Victor, and that will copy and paste. Cut and paste, instead of copying it, it will remove it from that area and then paste it somewhere else. So there we go. So you will know how to need to know how to cut and paste on your MOS test, as well as use this slides area right here. So this is the Home tab slides group, and this is the area where you're basically going to more or less add in your new slides, change your slide layout, and also reset your slides or change a section. So if I wanted to add in a new slide, make sure that you click this new slide arrow so that you could actually choose the layout of the slide that you want for your new slide. So right there, I would click new slide, and then I could choose a variety of different slides from this slide panel here. Alright, so let's say I wanted to add in a section header slide right here. So I could add that in. Once I do that, keep in mind you can type out in these different areas what the section header is and what the section subtitle is. So make sure that you know that. As far as inserting or changing the layout of a slide, you will need to know how to change the layout. That's right up here in the layout button. And let's say I did section header by mistake and I want it to be to content. I can do that right there. Now, when you add in to content, you will need to know how and what these different areas do. So let's just call this section 1 up here. You will need to know how to adjust your font. Now, make sure that whenever you are in a section, you either do a Control A to select that entire placeholder or every piece of text in the section, or you click the dotted line on the placeholder here. I'm going to zoom in so you can see that a little bit easier. You can see that the line is dotted. Okay, but if I select that dotted line right there, it will select that entire placeholder. So now any changes that I make in the font group can now be applied, like changing my font, changing the font size, increasing or decreasing font size, bold, italics, underline you'll need to know. You will need to know shadow for the MOS, as well as how to change your font color. I do not believe that this test has any highlighting in it, so don't worry about that. Also, changing your paragraph settings, left align, center, and right align is very important. And then let's say we have a bulleted list, like on this third slide here. You will need to know how to increase and decrease list levels in your bulleted list. Let's say we have retail store and website here, and then let's say that these two bullets are a part of that initial bullet, so these two would need to increase the list level on this bulleted list. So that's in the paragraph group, and you click right up here on increase list level. A lot of people use tab to do this. That will technically, I believe, be incorrect for the MOS exam. So you can increase your list level. You'll notice that it will decrease the size of the font just a little bit, and it will also indent the bullets on out. So that's how you increase your list level. To decrease your list level, you go right there and you hit decrease. So make sure that you know that for the MOS exam. Now, this right here is the line spacing button. Make sure that you know that you can increase the amount of space in between each of the bullets. Again, if I wanted to apply this to, say, the entire list, I would click the placeholder right there and then go up to paragraph spacing and increase the amount of space in between the bullets. So that was on there. And then lastly, make sure that you know how to convert your bulleted lists or numbered lists to SmartArt. So right there it says convert to SmartArt. I could choose from a variety of different options down here, and as you hover over them, you should see that they become displayed in the background area. And so they'll tell you, say they say process list. Well, if you don't know where the process is, you go right down here to more SmartArt graphics. You click that, and then you can see all of these different types of SmartArt. And let's say they wanted process right here, and they wanted one of these ones. You could click on them to see a preview, so on and so forth. Now I haven't tested this one, so I'm not sure how this will look, but I click OK, and there we go. All right, so now we see that's been converted to a SmartArt. Okay, now as far as editing your SmartArt, they do ask you to view the text pane and make changes inside the text pane from what I remember. Again, I took this test about 2 months ago, so I'm kind of doing this off memory, and sometimes the test does change, so just keep that in mind. So right here I can choose the text pane, and I can basically adjust all of my different bullets right in here, which is nice and easy because sometimes it's hard to tell what is a first and second list level item in the SmartArt. So there we go. Over here, you could change the colors or the SmartArt styles. Keep in mind that you will not be able to change any of these styles in here unless you have the SmartArt selected. So if I deselect this, notice that I no longer have the SmartArt tools pane up here, or tab rather. If I click inside there, now I have it. And then again, I can click that placeholder and make changes to my colors, make changes to the styles, anything that I want. But remember, you have to have that SmartArt actually clicked in order to do that. All right, so in addition to SmartArt, you see drawing over here. I did not use the drawing group very often inside of the PowerPoint MOS. And then inside editing, you may need to find and replace certain words. So you would go Home tab, Editing group, and click Replace right there. And then you can find a word, say store, and I can replace it with shop. And you'll see even on the one right back here where it says retail store and website, if I click replace all, you will see it made 2 replacements, and right there it says shop. So somewhere else on this PowerPoint it says shop, and it made a change there as well. So that is what you will see as far as the Home tab in the MOS exam. Now, moving on to the Insert tab. There are a few different things in the Insert tab you will definitely need to know. Let's say this one over here on the far left, this is the Slides group. This Slides group, I already showed you how to do this in the Home tab. It's the same exact button, so you don't have to worry about that. Next, in the Tables group, you're going to be able to add in a table. Now, I'm going to add in a table onto Slide 2 here, just so you can see what it looks like. Now, Slide 2, you can see that there are options down here inside of the placeholder, the content placeholder here, in order to add in a table. I could go right there to insert a table. Keep in mind, I could also go right up here and choose a table, and it'll insert it right into that spot. So whichever way you prefer, you can do that. Remember, your columns, if it says 3 columns, it's a 3 by 1. 3 by 1 would be the amount of columns are displayed first, the amount of rows are displayed second, and you can see those right up there in the top left of my screen as I move them across. So if it ever says 3 rows, 4 columns, make sure that you get that number correct so that you don't miss those points on the MOS. All right, now back to this slide here. Next, we see the Images group. Now on the Images group here, notice that we have a few different options. The only options that I saw on the MOS test were inserting pictures, and even inserting online pictures I don't believe was on it from what I can recall. So right here Inserting pictures deals with inserting pictures directly from your computer. So let's say I hit pictures here, and let's say I go to downloads where I have a few pictures saved. I could go there and choose pictures, or I could choose a picture based off of my desktop. Now keep in mind, let's say I just insert this one, which was the intro image to this page. It will insert it directly onto where that content placeholder was. All right, so right there, I insert in that image. It looks good. So now keep in mind that you cannot actually edit your image unless you have the image selected. Once you have the image selected, it will ask you to make some changes to that image. For instance, you may have to remove a background from a picture, and if you click that here, or if I click here, you can see PowerPoint will attempt to move the background. Now, I do not remember seeing this too much on the MOS. However, if you do see that, let me know in the comment section. That way I can do a video separate on that. So there we go. I don't remember seeing that one though. As far as artistic effects, they may ask you to choose a different artistic effect in here, such as paintbrush or glow diffused, something like that. Make sure if they say artistic effects in the directions that you're looking right there inside the artistic effects area, or that button in particular. And then if you hover over anything, it'll tell you what the name of it is. You can see this one is called Pencil Sketch. All right, now one thing I know that they do tell you is to change the picture style. For instance, that is in the Picture Tools Format tab, Picture Styles group. You can click this More button to see the gallery, and you can adjust your picture style to whatever one they call. Again, if they ask for bevel rectangle, of course you're not going to know what it's which one is bevel rectangle just from looking at them. So just take your mouse and hover over them and let go. That way you can see the name of them. And then if it calls for bevel rectangle, you click right there and it will be applied. That change will be applied. So it may ask for picture border or picture effects. Keep in mind, artistic effects and picture effects are two different things. Some of them apply, or picture effects apply shadows and bevels and things like that. So if you see, a question that asks you to apply a 5-point blue accent color 1 glow, well, you know that's in picture effects under glow, and now you can click that and it adds that little blue glow around your picture. Okay, they did not do anything in the Arrange tab from what I remember. I don't think they asked you to rotate the picture even or crop an image, so I don't believe those were on the exam. However, changing the size of an image, I believe was. Let's say I wanted to make this height 2.5. I would click right in there, change that to 2.5, and there we go. Now it's changed. So just keep that in mind, that you may be asked to make edits to your pictures. First step, click the picture. Next step, look in the Picture Tools Format tab. So that's as far as editing pictures goes. Continuing on to slide 4 here. On the Insert tab, we've already went over Smart Art. They may ask you to insert a shape. Okay, so if they ask you to do that, let's say an arrow shape, for instance, let's say they want you to do a down arrow. Well, I could look through here on my recently used shapes, lines, rectangles, so on and so forth until I get to block arrows. And if it says arrow down, that's the one I'll choose there. And then it'll bring up this cursor, and you should click and drag to actually draw your arrow. Now keep in mind, once again, once you have the arrow actually drawn, that's when you can edit the arrow. You have to have the arrow selected in order to be able to edit it. The arrows editing, or the drawing tools format tab for arrows and shapes, is a lot like the pictures, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but you can see you can change the shape over here. You can change the shape style, okay, similar to changing the picture style. Change the shape outline, so if it says add some weight to the outline of the shape, well, I could do 4.5 point. It doesn't look like it did anything on here, because if I change the text outline and the weight, I actually have to apply a color to it. So there we go, I apply a color, and then if I go down here and I change the weight, you can see that the weight of that outline changes on there. Now, that's as far as editing shapes goes. So I'm going to deselect that shape. Again, those are very similar to pictures or images. They do not use any add-ins, links, or comments in the PowerPoint MOS, so you shouldn't have to worry about any of those buttons. Over here in the text group, they may ask you to add a header or a footer. So right here under header and footer, you can click that, and you'll see that you can either add a header and footer to the slides pane or to the notes and handouts only? Meaning, do you want your header and footer to appear on the actual slide? So if I did a footer down here with the file name, and I'll just type in file because I don't want to waste time, and I click apply to all, notice that it adds the word file right down here. So let's say I didn't want that in here. I would go back up to that header and footer, deselect the header and footer, and then I would say I wanted that in my notes and handouts, and then I could put the file down there. Now, granted, on the test, you'll probably write out the file name and add a date and time. And so those would be applied just to the notes and handouts. So if I went to the File tab and went to Print, I would see those on there. All right. Now let's say I wanted to add in some word art. Well, if I click word art here, and actually I'll stay on this slide, and I wanted to add some word art, I could click here and it'll tell you what the names are, again by hovering over and stopping your mouse, and you can select one of them. So if I went here and I selected this one, it's going to add the text onto the page, and then once again you can move that text around with the placeholder. Get in the habit of using the placeholder. Then I could say competitive advantage, and I'll just put deals. All right, and so there's my word art right there. I could then select the placeholder and change the styles, the shapes, the word art styles, and the size. So again, this is very, very similar to images and shapes, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time there on that. Next, in the Insert tab, I do not believe they ask you to do anything with any of these buttons over here. As far as inserting in media and video, I believe that on the MOS they did have me insert a video. If you click on video, you should be able to go to online video if it's a YouTube video, for instance, or to videos on my PC, which they'll have you have the download of that video on there. Should be very easy to find. Audio, they did not have me input any audio, and I do not believe any screen recording either, so did not have any of those options. So that's it for the Insert tab. Let's take a look at the Design tab now. In the Design tab, they will have you change the theme. So over here in the Themes group, you just hit the More button and choose the theme. Okay, be careful if they say something like change it to Ion Boardroom, because this is Ion Boardroom right here, and this is Ion. So they have a similar name, so be very careful once again if they try to hit you with something like that. So if it says Ion Boardroom, make sure you choose that. So pay close attention to the names of it. I changed mine to Ion Boardroom right there, and now I can change it to a different variant, which are the color schemes right over here. So I changed that, and there we go. Notice that that did change the color of the arrow as well as the word art. So most of the time, if you're working in PowerPoint, you're going to want to change those things up front, unless you want to take a look at them a little bit later on. Okay, so I'm going to go back to no theme here, just so that I can take a look at this PowerPoint a little bit easier. As far as formatting a background, they will have you format a background on the MOS. So if I went here and I went to Format Background, you could see all these different options. Now I'm going to format the background on slide 2 here. So if I went to slide 2 and I wanted to format the background, I could change it from a solid fill. I could change it from the color white to say a blue color or something like that. Or I could go to a gradient fill, which is two or more separate colors rather. And then picture or texture fill, you can choose a file that you like, and you can make that your background. So for instance, I'll choose that one as my background, and then you can adjust the transparency to make it lighter. Okay, so you can see there as I increase the transparency, the color in the background goes to a lighter shade, and it becomes more transparent. So there we go. That's what they have you do. They might ask you to hide background graphics. If they do, you just click that checkbox and it'll hide all of the default theme graphics that you see in the background usually. So there we go. As far as transitions goes, they do ask you to change your transitions. So for instance, they might ask you, and I'll skip ahead to slide 5 now, down here. If they ask you to change your transitions, or I'll stay on slide 4 rather, they will typically tell you to choose the More button right here, and they'll typically stick with the subtle transitions here. So they might ask you for something like uncover, and you can see right there, that's the uncover. And then they may ask you to change your effect options, which are right up here, and you can choose from top, from bottom, from left, from right. That's where those are located. So right there, There we go. That looks good. And then they will ask you to change the timing on them. Okay, so this timing group, they did not ask for sound, but you might have to increase the duration of it. And then you'll notice that over here there's a little star underneath the 4 and the 5 letting me know that transitions are applied. Most of the time on the MOS they will ask you to click this apply to all and now we can see that the star is on all of them. So there we go. So that's what you're going to see in the transitions group. Not too much in this one other than pretty self-explanatory. Change the transition, adjust the effect options, and finally change the duration and apply to all. Those are the buttons I remember. As far as animations go, I'm going to go on to slide 5. Now, animations happen within the slide here. So for instance, if I had New England here, I might want that one to float in. So there you go. You can see what that does, and I could make it float up and float down, and you can see how that looks. Now, you will see that in the MOS test, they do have you adjust animations. They are very similar to your transitions tab. However, you will change the effect options. They do not have you use the animation pane, and they may tell you to change on click or with or after previous. So I could see there, I could change the amount of time that is displayed on each one. So then that way, when I go to a slide like this one, the timing will be adjusted. All right, and you see that slower animation now. All right, from the slideshow group, they may ask you to play your slideshow. Remember, that's the F5 function key on your keyboard. Don't press it now because it'll refresh your YouTube page, so you don't want to do that. But that's the F5 key on your keyboard. To start a slide from the current slide is Shift and F5 on your keyboard, and it'll start from here. And so there we go. They do not ask you to do anything else in here, so I'm going to skip over this one right now. All right. Finally, in review, they usually ask you to check your spelling, and you can go right there, just check your spelling. Mine was good, so I don't need to worry about that. And then in view, they may ask you to go to the slide sorter view, move some things around in here. So you just go to the view tab, presentation views, slide sorter, and this is where you can move your slides around in here. So there we go. Other than that, just some general things. They may ask you to switch back to normal view. They will ask you probably to add notes onto a slide. If you don't see the notes pane, it's right down here. You click notes and you will see it down here. And then you can just click and start to type in your notes. So that's what you'll see as far as zooming in and zooming out on the MOS. Hold down the control key, scroll back to zoom out. Keep the control key down, zoom back up with your scroll wheel on your mouse. All right, so that will pretty much cover most of what you're going to see on the MOS exam. So just keep that in mind. Out of the MOS exams that I've taken for Word, Excel, Access, PowerPoint, and Outlook, this one was the easiest one. So pretty much everything that I covered here is what I remember on the test. If you see something else, let me know in the comment section. If you want me to make a video on the something else that maybe you didn't know from the exam, I'm happy to do it. This is just a brief overview of the exam. So if there's something that's not on here, sorry, I must have forgotten that it's on that test. So other than that, check out my PowerPoint playlist because that'll really help you out with some of the other things that I wasn't able to cover in detail on here. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. I encourage you to subscribe, and if you have a video request yourself, please put it in the comment section, and I hope to see you again soon. Thank you.